Welcome back to the fields of Perthshire, and we're back out with a fully charged Deus II. As you might remember, I had to cut it short yesterday because I ran out of battery charge in my wireless coil because what's the saying? Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. I forgot to charge the machine. So I'm going to retrace my steps because I had a signal somewhere in the 80s and another one in the 60s yesterday, and then the coil went dead. So let me go and see if I can track down where that was. I am on the way to where I had those couple of signals yesterday when the battery ran out, and I'm scanning as I go. And we've got a 75, 76, so let's give it a bash. Wasn't particularly deep, and I had a kind of chuckle to myself because I've not just long spoken to Christina, who is in the medical profession, who was saying you need to be careful about exposure to lead, and the first thing I find is what looks like a piece of lead. So I've got no gloves, which is something I'll be rectifying, and I'm going to give it a wee rub-a-dub. It looks almost like a little sort of coin or a little token, but maybe it's just a slice of lead, or maybe it's got an inscription on it. We'll give it a little rub-a-dub and see. And here we go. If it'll focus. There we go. It's got a couple of little sort of dots on it, but I don't know if that's decoration damage or just coincidence, but you can see it's not an even slice. It's kind of more like a wedge, but it is circular and it is lead, and I'm going to touch it as little as possible. Could be any kind of age. Any ideas? Let me know in the comments. Okay, we have got a 69, 70, 71. I should say I'm on program 6, the Deep HC, the Deep High Conductor, and well, that might mean it's either a quarter gold noble or a half gold sovereign, so fingers crossed. Okay, we're out the hole, relatively shallow. Somewhere about there. Hopefully not more lead. Oh, there it is there. It is unfortunately an old-fashioned brass or copper screw. Damn it. Oh well. Oh well, oh well. Probably off an old piece of furniture that's been brought into the field and burned. Damn. Good news, I have found the signals that I discovered yesterday, and then my battery ran out. That sort of circular green tuft of grass was my indicator, and then I dug a few rough holes to show some upturned soil, and first signal is here. It's coming in at 81, and the second signal somewhere over here. $65, $66. So we've got a gold hammered coin over there, and that sounds like it could be a coin as well. So let's see what we get. Well, this might be excellent news because on the second spadeful I saw something circular, and we might have a coin after all, somewhere over here. There it is, right there. And we might have, it's a bloody button. It is, isn't it? That is a shank in the middle. It is a button. Damn, I thought we maybe had a William and Mary or something there because of the thinness of it. There we go. That is a button. Does look like it's got a bit of decoration on it. Very, very thin edge. Damn, I was sure I had a coin there. Right, let's give this a wee rub-a-dub and see how it looks. It is only a button, but at least it's better than your average button. It's got a little bit of decoration around the outside edge. You can see these little sort of dimples all the way around. Looks like they've probably been gold gilded. You can see it shimmering a little bit in the sunlight. No decoration in the centre that I can see. And I'm guessing that's probably going to be Georgian in period. So sometime from sort of 1714 through to George III in the 1820 period. So somewhere between George I and George III, I'm reckoning, but I don't know. Could even be 17th century, but I suspect it's probably Georgian. Right, here's hoping signal number 2 is not a clip from a berry tunnel, because I've just realised it's in that kind of figure. It can only get better. The button was to our left hand side, and whatever we've got is right here. 64, 65. Pretty consistent. Let's see what we get. In that last little spadeful, about 6 inches down, do you see what I see? I think we've got a silver coin right there. Right there. Oh, it's hammered. That is a medieval hammered coin. Oh, it's damaged, but that was not me. Oh, you beauty. Right, we're going to give this a clean up and see what we can see. Fantastic. So well done to the XP DEUS II. We have got a hammered silver coin. Found this little bit of pottery in the hole as well, in the spoil. I don't know if it's going to be of a medieval date. It's the same as the coin, but either way, look at that. That is what is called a long cross silver penny around the edge. It is damaged, but you can see the letters CIVITAS, which means City of. Now this quarter here, the outside edge is completely missing. It looks like a relatively new break, but I've had a scout about. There's no other parts of the coin there, but it would have been 3 letters, because here it's a T, an O and an R, which means that would have been CAN. So Civitas Cantor, City of Canterbury. So that is where this coin was minted. Now the other side is not in as good a condition, but you can just make out in the centre, you can see a figure, you can see his chin, his shoulders, locks of hair, and you can just make out the shape of a crown on his head at the top. And looking at the letters down the side, I think it is Edward I, Edward Longshanks, King of England. And it would have said something along the lines of Edward Ang et Hibernia. So Edward, King of England and Ireland. And this is a silver penny. So this probably dates to Edward I, which means it's probably from around the 1290s, during the Scottish, or the first Scottish Wars of Independence, during the era of William Wallace and Robert the Bruce. So this is an incredibly important coin from the end of the 13th century. Over 700 years old. And yes, it's damaged, but that is absolutely stunning. Imagine if that coin could talk. What stories it could tell. You beauty. I'm over the moon with that. Over the moon. Well, I have to say I'm still made up with that hammered coin. I love finding hammered silver coins. Really do. Been lucky enough to find quite a lot of them over the years, but I particularly like the ones from the era of William Wallace and Robert the Bruce, and Scotland's struggle for independence from our dear friends England. And even better was that was one of those two signals that I discovered yesterday and had to leave because the battery died on the coil. But thankfully I was able to retrace my steps and find them, but I've got another signal just here. Solid 86. Pretty consistent. Could we have another coin? Let's find out. I saw it and I lost it. I think unfortunately we're back on the toxic lead, because I think when that clod snapped in half I saw a musket ball, possibly. Either that or a stopper. If that's it there, then that is, I think, that feels like lead. And that's it. That is another musket ball. Got one yesterday. A lot worse condition than this one, but might not even have been fired, this one. Might just be a drop. And if it's not, then it's been fired into very soft ground. So fired from a big long barreled sort of musket, flintlock style musket. As I've mentioned before, the first firearms came to Scotland around about 1385, and by the middle of the 1400s King James II had gone firearm mad. Let me get out the wind. He had fallen in love with cannons, and one of the King Jameses, I think it was the second, he got a wedding gift from the Duke of Burgundy, which was the biggest cannon ever built, which was Mons Meg, which resides in Edinburgh Castle. And he paid for his dear love of firearms, because when he laid siege to Roxburgh Castle in the borders of Scotland, which was the last castle held in the whole of Scotland by the English, one of the cannons blew up, severed his artery in his leg, and he died within 1 minute. So don't play with firearms. Date wise, I think this is probably going to be sometime 1617 into the 1800s. Not so sure about this one. It's a solid 82, but the tone just doesn't sound particularly good with it, so I'm not sure. Maybe a big shallow bit of iron, but only one way to find out. And I was indeed, unfortunately, correct. Just under the surface, thankfully, because otherwise I'd have been digging through really stony, hard ground. This is, if I could have opened it, it is one of these berry tunnel clips. So these polytunnels, as we call them, sort of steel framed with polythene, sort of half circle hoops that they put polythene over the top to grow soft fruit under. This field 20 years ago, give or take, was covered in polytunnels, and unfortunately I keep on finding these. It's been 20 minutes, nearly half an hour without a diggable signal. I've moved up to the top half of the field, which is notoriously devoid of signals because things were getting a bit slow in the bottom half of the field. And I've got a very, very small target here, but it's a solid 88. And right about there. Let's see what we get. It's come out in the first clod full, which is right there. Still showing a solid 88. And time to get the old pinpointer out and see if we can track it down. This is when I really need a tripod, but I can't bring the tripod out when it's as windy as it is today because my microphone cable's just not long enough. So, somewhere in this area, I'm guessing. Ugh. Oh, it's fallen out, I think. Is that it? Nope, that's a stone. I can't see it. Ah, silver coin. Silver coin. That has fallen out of that clod. 1 silver, I'm guessing threepence. Oh, and you'll never guess who. George V, the most common coin that we find in this field. And I think it is a threepence or a threepence. It's a little bit battered and bruised. It's quite dull in colour. Georgius V, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, Defender of the Faith, and Emperor of India. And you can see his fairly bald head with fine looking moustache. Looking to the left. On the reverse, I'm guessing there's going to be a big number 3, and there it is. A threepence, and we've got a date. Is it 1918? It is 1918. The year that the Great War ended. The 11th hour of the 11th month of the 11th day. The end of World War I on the Western Front. So, big silver 3 for threepence or 3 pence with a crown above. 1918. You beauty. Double silver. One 700 years old, and the other one, what is that? 104 years old. Brilliant. Just realised I forgot to do my little historical ditto or ditty about George V. So he should never have been king. His older brother, Victor Frederick, always forget, he died in the 1890s during an influenza pandemic, and as a result George V became the heir apparent. His brother Victor Frederick, or Frederick Victor, was the one that some people suggest might have been Jack the Ripper of London. Ooh, right, that's all you're getting. I am very close to where Martin found himself not 1 but 2 hammered silver coins last year. 1 shilling and 1 sixpence, and the shilling was an absolute beauty. It was from King Charles I, if I remember rightly, but $77? Oh. Maybe not. I thought it was going to be something really good, but this is a bit of a iffy signal now. Right, let's dig it anyway and see. Damn it, as expected. Oh, my machine's just been blown over. But don't worry, it's an XP DEUS II. It's rugged, it's hard, it's tough. Yeah, it's another one of these berry tunnel clips. Well, I've got about 30 minutes to go. Signals have been pretty poor. I've got a couple of things around the 50 mark which I didn't film, and they were just little slithers of copper. But this little paddock area here, which is about 6 or 8 acres, I've got permission for it, and just walking past I realised it's actually quite short. And last time I tried to come in here last year, it was so overgrown that we really struggled to dig anything because the grass was so long. But as you can see, it's pretty short, so I'm going to give it my final 30 minutes and have a sniff around here and see if we can find anything with the epic DEUS II. Let's see. So far just deep iron signals or shallow iron signals, but this one here coming through at a consistent 23, 24. Can't say I've ever had anything in the 20s come up before, so I'm just intrigued to know what it is. So let's give it a go. Well, that's a first. I've never had a piece of coke with the XP DEUS II. Maybe it's because it was such a big piece, lying so flat, or maybe it's because I'm on program 6 and deep HC is more susceptible to coke. But it's the first piece I've ever had. If this was my old XP Goldmax Power, my god, it loved coke. It really loved it. But first piece I've had since I had the machine, so I can't complain. other than iron, it's been 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's been very, very quiet, but I have got myself a really positive signal here. Solid 82, 83. That's surely going to be a coin. If it's not a coin, maybe aluminium, but only one way to find out. Okay, top 4-5 inches are off. We're going to need to go deeper. Right, let's see what we can do. Okay, we're out on that final spadeful, which is in this little pile. I'm hoping it's something good. I didn't see any flashes of aluminium, which is good. This is probably going to be my last signal because I've lost track of time. I should have been home by now. Where is it? Honestly, sometimes I'm rubbish at using these. I think that's it there. Oh, I think we've got a coin. I think we have got a coin. We do have a coin. Look at that, that's Britannia on the back. And it's quite an unusual shaped Britannia. So I'm thinking that that is probably going to be George III. Now let's have a look and see. Crack it open. There we go. Nice little imprint, or a bit of an imprint. And that is not George III, because he's facing the wrong way. The monarchs change direction each time, and George III faces right. This is facing left, and I suspect this is his grandson, George II. So let's give it a rub-a-dub and check. You can just make out Britannia. You can see a line at the bottom, that's where the date would have been, but it is completely toasted. On the reverse, I think it just says Britannia around the edge, and I think it's a halfpenny. Not very chunky, not very big. And on this side, you can see a figure facing to the left and 1-1 just there. And it would say Georgius 1-1 Rex, George II King. So date-wise, George II was on the throne during a very complicated period in not only Scottish but British history, 1727 until 1760. And he outlived his son by about 10 years, Frederick I think it was. So as a result, his grandson, King George III, got the throne on his death. And he ended up with the madness of King George, 1760 to 1820. So, George II, he was king during the Bonnie Prince Charlie Jacobite uprising, when he sent the Duke of Cumberland, one of his other sons, north to fight against Bonnie Prince Charlie at Culloden. And he crushed not only the Jacobites, but then unleashed genocide upon the Highlands of Scotland to break the clan system. And the support for the exiled King James, or Jacobites as they were known, because James in Latin is Jacobus, that's where the name comes from. Support the Jacobites, support the Jameses, you are a Jacobus, therefore a Jacobite. So, great way to finish up. A couple of very nice coins today, in fact 3 nice coins today. But star of the show was that little Edward, I believe it's an Edward I. Probably dates to around the 1290s. So, tremendous day. Thanks again for watching, and if you don't already, give me a like, give me a subscription, and before I lose my voice, hopefully I'll see you on the next dig. Take care.